तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Before starting, I would like to offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Balram, Radha Bharaneshwar and Lord Narasimhadev. Also, I would like to offer my humble obeisances to all the Gurus in the Vaishnava Parampara and all Vaishnavas seated here. So, in chapter 8, we saw that Arjun had put forward 7 questions and Krishna answering them. What is Brahman? What is self? What are fruitive activities? What is the material manifestation? Who are demigods? Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how can those engaged in devotional service know Krishna at the time of death? Now, today we move on to the 9th chapter. Shall I ask you a question? Which is the most important part of our body? Previously said it. It's the heart. And where is it placed? In almost the center of our body. Similarly, the most important part of the Bhagavad Gita lies in the center, the 9th chapter. The first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita focuses on karma or our activities as a means of self-realization. The last 6 chapters focuses on Prakriti or nature. It shows knowledge as a means of differentiating between and becoming free from Prakriti. Now, the middle 6 chapters. The middle 6 chapters focuses on God, Paramatma, Bhagavan. It shows bhakti as a means of attaining the supreme abode. The 9th chapter starts with Sri Bhagavan Vacha. The Lord starts speaking the 9th chapter and says, Idam te tu guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshase shubhat. Idam te tu guhyatamam. He does not simply call it guhyam or secret. He calls it guhyatamam or the most confidential. Since you are not envious of me, pravakshami anasuyave, I shall impart to you this knowledge, knowing which you shall be relieved of the mysteries of material existence. Now, to understand why this is the most confidential knowledge is something that is utterly incomprehensible. This is because the matters which are described in the 9th chapter deal with unalloyed, pure devotion. Then he goes on to say, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. This is Raja Vidya, the king of knowledge. Raja Guhyam, the king of secrets. Pavitram Idamuttamam, the purest and transcendental. So to acquire this knowledge or to listen to this 9th chapter requires an enormous amount of pious credits so as to relish this nectar. And then Krishna goes on to say in the 4th verse, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. By me, this entire universe is pervaded in my unmanifested form. Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. All living entities are in me, but I am not in them. Even though he is the creator of all this cosmic manifestation, he remains detached and neutral from it. The material nature, which works under his directions, produces all the moving and non-moving beings. And under its rule, these manifestations are created and annihilated repeatedly. Avajananti mamudha. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. It's a matter of fact, actually. There are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be a normal, powerful human being and nothing else. Whereas Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This was also confirmed by all the great people living in that era. During the Kurukshetra war, during Mahabharata, when Bhishma was lying on the bed of arrows, and when he was asked, who is God? He points at Krishna and says, he is God. This fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead was also confirmed by Narad Muni, and even in Brahma Samhita it says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna is the Supreme God and his body is Sat Chit Ananda. And he further says, such people who are in the deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, fruitive activities, and the culture of knowledge are all defeated. And those who are not deluded, the great devotees, are fully engaged in devotional service because they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the 17th sloka, he says, Pitaham masya jagato mata dhata pitamaha. He is the father, mother, supporter, and grandsire of the universe. This is actually a very common story in most houses, as you all know. Fathers are generally strict. Yeah? Fathers are always strict. But what about mothers? They're very compassionate. But is there someone who is more compassionate than mothers? Yes, our grandparents. Our grandparents are primarily the source who spoil the grandchildren. And do you know why? It's because they don't expect to be there when these monsters grow up. He also says he's the sound Om prescribed in the Vedas. Vedyam Pavitram Omkara. He's the Vedic rituals, the sacrifice, the offerings, the ghee, the fire of the Vedic yajnas. He further says he's the sustainer, the master, the refuge, the abode, and the most dear friend. He gives heed, he withholds and sends forth the rain, and he says, both spirit and matter are in me. Then from the 22nd to the 25th slokas, these slokas are actually very important because these establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is an unequivocal proof that Krishna is the Supreme God and no one else is. Those who study the Vedas seeking heavenly planets worship me indirectly. And when they have exhausted their pious credits, they come back to this mortal world. But Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana pariyupasate. Those who worship me, fully concentrating on me, tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. Those who meditate upon me, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Then he says, Ahami sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. I am the one and only one enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. In the 25th sloka, he says, Yanti deva vrata devan pitranyanti pitrvratam bhutani yanti bhutejam yanti madhyajinopi mam. Those who worship the demigods, vrata devan, yanti devan, go to the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors, pitranyanti, pitrvratam, pitranyanti, go to the ancestors. Bhuta ijya, those who worship ghosts or spirits. Bhutani yanti, go to the ghosts and spirits. And finally, madhyaji, my devotees, yanti apimam, will live with me. So those who worship the demigods, go to the demigods. Those who worship their ancestors, go to the ancestors. And those who worship the ghosts and spirits, take birth among them. And those who worship me will live with me. See how in a clear-cut manner the information is described in this chapter. Now the next question that comes up is, how do we offer worship unto Lord Krishna then? He says that in the next sloka, Patram pushpam phalam toyam Yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or some water, I will accept it. See how compassionate Lord Krishna is. No matter what you give him, there are two essential ingredients, love and devotion. All you have to do is offer everything you have. Yet karoshi yadashnasi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, yet juhoshi dadasi yet, whatever you offer or give away, yet tapasyasi kaunteya, whatever austerities you perform, O son of Kunti, tat kurushva madarpana, do that as an offering unto me. He further says that he is not partial and he is a friend to anyone who approaches him. He gives his word. He promises that those who take shelter of him, regardless of the caste he was born into, he can attain the supreme abode. And then the 9th chapter ends with the 34th sloka. And this is a very important sloka. And the first line of the sloka is repeated again in the 18th chapter. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yudvevam atmanam matparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become a devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. In this verse, we come to know that Krishna consciousness is the only means of deliverance from this mortal world. Before concluding, let's recall what all points we have discussed today. Krishna says that he is the supreme God. What happens when one worships the demigods, ancestors, and the ghosts or spirits? And finally, how to become his devotee. Well, studying Bhagavad Gita is one of the best opportunities you get. And here in Balram Desh, we are brimming with such opportunities. Our life is like a prepaid card with limited validity. It is pre-programmed for so many years, months, days, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, and even nanoseconds. After a validity period, we have to go back to Godhead. But depending on our karma, it's decided whether we need to take birth again or not. And during this period, all we know is that we should chant the holy name of Lord. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now adulterated by the material atmosphere. This contamination can be removed only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. And as Brihadaranyaka Purana states, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. In Kali Yuga, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. So, my dear devotees, shall we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, that was a powerful and enlightening class by Bhakta Arjun Sreekumar. He was waiting for this class for more than 3 weeks. For some reasons, it was getting postponed, and ultimately he completed.